How's it going, guys? I hope everybody's having a great day, a great night. It must be because you're hanging out with JBM Sports Media. Obviously, I'm here with Ben and Joe, like I always am. Shout out to John Morosi because Ohtani is officially on the plane headed to Toronto for the World Series. The Blue Jays are going to the World Series.
It's crazy.
I'm pretty shocked. I'm going to be honest. I had Seattle winning the series.
Me too.
We spoke about it, and once Seattle went up 2-0, I was like, yeah, they're going to end this in 5. And no, Toronto said no. We're going to defy all the cheating allegations wrong, and we're going to beat up on Seattle away so they can't say that we're cheating. Listen, this was a hell of a series. It really would. If I can, Ben, what do you got?
I mean, I had the Blue Jays winning in 7 after they went down 0-2, though. I'll be honest. I thought they were cooked. I thought there was no way that they could win this. But they went in Seattle, took 2 out of 3, pushed it back to Toronto, took care of business. I mean, it was a perfectly executed comeback, in my opinion. And the way that these guys were balling, Vlad Jr., obviously George Springer, we're going to talk about the moment today. That's going to go down in history. But even the pitching coming up, Trey Savage yesterday, he held his own. And today, Bieber did what he had to do. I'm not going to lie. The Blue Jays executed a perfect comeback from being down 0-2, losing those first 2 games in Toronto, to go in Seattle, making sure that they still had a shot to bring it back to Toronto. I think they executed a perfect comeback. That's what I got to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at this series in depth and you really take a deep dive look, Brian Wu wasn't really good. George Kirby wasn't good. Logan Gilbert wasn't good in the 2 games that he pitched. So when you talk about those guys that, really anchored that staff that didn't really pitch well, other than Brian Wu coming in tonight and pitching 2 solid innings, he did give up those 2 walks that led to those 2 runs actually scoring, I believe. And then Bizzardo came in, Bizzardo came in and obviously gave up the 3-run home to Springer, but Brian Wu gave up those 2 walks that led right into the home run. Mm-hmm. They took him out, and then Bizzardo comes in and I believe he got an out, and then he gives up the home run to Springer. And like I said, before that outing, Wu wasn't really good. Their starting pitching was very iffy. They looked taxed. Logan Gilbert, I know, was used a few times, and he just didn't look sharp in the 2 starts that he made. So, and then if you look at some of their guys on offense, Randy Rosarena was under 200. Even though they got some big hits from Polanco, he was at 206, I believe, for the series. So you have guys like really floating below and above the Mendoza line. It's hard to win games like that, and Toronto really kept themselves in games to the point where they could rely on their offense to overcome being down by 2 runs. I always said, against this team, you need to be up 3 to 4 runs to feel comfortable. And to me, 2 runs just wasn't enough. And it took 2 walks, 2 patient walks, and then an experienced playoff hitter to come up and do his thing. And that's why Seattle's going home and Toronto's moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was perfectly said. I've made the argument that maybe outside of Los Angeles, the Mariners had the best starting pitching throughout the entire playoffs, and that's what essentially probably lost them this series. The guys you just mentioned, Kirby, Gilbert, they were not great. Brian Wu out of the bullpen, he was spotty. He had some decent moments, and then he had some, like I said, he had some spotty moments, didn't look good. Bizzardo, I feel like he was in a lot of games.
Yeah, he was.
For the most part, he pitched decent throughout this entire playoff. I think tonight, and I want to say maybe game 4 of the last series, or it might have been game 3. I know he gave up another 2 runs in a short stint. But other than that, I thought he was pretty solid throughout the entire playoffs for Seattle. And Polanco, he was a guy, he started off this series hot. I mean, he had a couple of big hits in the first 2 games, and he just disappeared. He really just disappeared. I mean, Eugenio Suarez, same thing. I mean, he had the go-ahead game-winning grand slam. What was that, game 5?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was game 5.
Game 5.
Outside of that, really no huge moments. Naylor kind of the same. I mean, outside of the headbutting the baseball from behind on the double play earlier in this game, which I thought was hilarious. I mean, listen, you take a shot like that, I guess, right? I mean, what are you going to do? But obviously, you know, they overturned that. If you guys didn't see it, you guys need to. Anybody watching, that was hysterical in my opinion. Breaks up a double play, literally jumps, spins around, ball hits him in the back of the head. I mean, I get what you're trying to do, but I mean, what are we doing? But overall, I mean, throughout this playoff run, Toronto has been very impressive. If they lack a little in the starting rotation, their lineup makes up for it, and vice versa. This should be a very interesting World Series. But before we get to that, Ben, if you could go a little further on what you noticed throughout the series, I mean, what made Toronto win it, or what made Seattle lose it?
I think because they had a player and they had players like Springer and Guerrero step up when needed. I mean, Guerrero's home run yesterday was electric as well. Real quick, I want to play the home run, the Springer home run, because I feel like this is a moment that they're going to talk about up there for years to come. I mean, it's going to go up there with the Bautista home run as well. If you really think about it, this brought them back to the World Series after a 30-year World Series drought. So let's go over it real quick. Here we go. Put a big screen. Actually, I'm going to replay it.
High fly ball. Left field. Arozarena watches it go. Pitch.
I mean, that itself is a moment.
Yeah. And then if you look at him hopping up the line, it reminds me of Joe Carter when he hit the home run against Philly.
Yeah,
he's hopping up the line to just, I guess, to see that it goes out, and that's pretty wild.
I'll tell you the truth. One of the biggest takeaways for me in that video was seeing the look on Brian Wu's face.
Yeah,
he
knows.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he walked those two guys, and you know those runners are his responsibility essentially, and
maybe one less walk. It's 3-3 instead of 4-3. Maybe it's just a tie game and not a blowing the whole lead type situation.
Yeah, and then
but that's what happens. It's experienced postseason players. Springer's a postseason player who's experienced. He's been in these situations. Whether the cheating scandal, it doesn't matter. He's still been in these types of games that. You know, he's kind of built for the moment. He knows what to expect. I mean, if you're going to groove a 1-0 fastball by a guy who's got experience like this in these type of situations, you better make sure you're throwing at 104. You better make sure you're gassing him, because to throw a fastball down the heart of the plate, I know it's 1-0, but he's looking for a strike there. So you know, he's looking for a good pitch to hit and to get ahead of a pitch, and it's literally what happened. So. It's just experience. To me, it's experience. It's knowing certain situations.
Yeah. And then if you look at it as well, how Toronto responded, what another key point, when they went to Seattle for game 3 and 4, and we had players like Jimenez stepping up, he had two two-run shots, one in game 3, one in game 4. I mean, that's going to be something that you look at as a like underlying, but it's big. It's big because you have a 9-hole hitter step up like that. That's massive. Vlad, if we could talk about Vlad, you know, Vlad, just like in a way, not as much criticism as Aaron Judge, but the last few times that Vlad was in the postseason with the Blue Jays, not really, you know, something that they've talked about, but he didn't really appear with them, like in the sense of, you know, stepping up, performing. But this postseason run by Vlad Jr. right here, I mean, he won ALCS MVP. He was the winner of the award. He's been doing exactly what a leader and the amount of money that he got paid is supposed to do. He's been doing that and more, to be honest. And now he's got a whole country behind him. They're going to the World Series. Bichette's coming back. It's crazy.
And that to me is a massive key for the Blue Jays, is that they're getting Bichette back. That's just another offensive piece that the Dodgers are going to have to deal with. But here's the thing: when I was alluding to experience, you can't get any more experience than what the Dodgers have gone through in the last 4 seasons with that squad, all being postseason veterans. You got Freddie Freeman, Ohtani now getting a taste. You know, the 2 times he's been in the postseason, he's in the World Series. So, I mean, That's impressive in itself. You got Glass now, Snell, all these guys that have pitched in big games. It's really going to be interesting to see how they match up. I do think it goes 6. If I want to give my early prediction, I do see the LA Dodgers taking this and becoming the first team since the Yankees to actually repeat in the World Series since the 98-99 season. So yeah, I this to me is the better matchup when it comes to viewership. I think it's going to be a little bit more exciting when it comes to offense. I think we're going to see a ton of it. I won't be surprised if there's a lot of 6-5, 5-4 games in this World Series due to the fact that I think maybe Toronto could answer the bell when it comes to maybe beating up on the Dodgers bullpen a little bit. But I'm also interested to see on how their the Dodgers starting pitching fares up against this offense too. They really did shut down Milwaukee, but obviously Toronto does have the better offense, and I'd just like to see how they kind of handle that now that they're going into the World Series. It's gonna be interesting, but I wouldn't be surprised if Toronto is pressing a little bit to start these first couple of games, just because they're there and maybe the adrenaline is just pumping. But to me, LA is going to have the upper hand in this series, and I'm just curious to see what you guys think about that.
You know what? I'm gonna have to agree. I could see Toronto taking 2 games out of this. I've essentially, outside of I think one series, I've picked against the Dodgers, and they've shut me up every time. So
I went against them twice, so I know how you feel.
yeah. At this point, outside of the Red Series, I didn't have them beating Philly, and I had Milwaukee winning in 7. So,
same here.
I mean, how do I not go with them? They just look unstoppable. They really do. I mean, Toronto is fun. They got the hometown kid. Vladdy's locked up for a while. They have some veterans there. Some guys have been around the block, all that type of stuff. But I mean, reality is reality, and the Dodgers just look too strong. They really do. I mean, like I said, I could see Toronto stealing a game or 2 at best. Dodgers in 6. That's what I'm going with.
Me too. That's how I feel.
It's one of the series, like I think JV said, it's going to be more high scoring than obviously how my Brewers got shut down. I think the Toronto Bats actually will do a better job getting to that bullpen, like JV said. Not even just the bullpen, but there could be a game where they could get to Glass now or Ohtani or even Yamamoto, for example. They could, because I feel like those bats are very trustworthy. Bichette's now back. If you could get Jimenez getting, those 2-run shots somehow, some way against those pitchers, it's going to go a long way. Like, it's going to be massive. And I do trust these Blue Jays bat. The experience that the Dodgers have, though, I think that's an excellent point right there. Experience of a lifetime. They have questionably one of the greatest players that have ever stepped the foot of this world in general, like Shohei Ohtani. We saw what he did in Game 4. Historic. We haven't even talked about that, but what he did in Game 4 was historic. And he's only going to continue this. Is he going to continue this into the World Series? I believe. Now that he's hot, because remember, he was struggling in that Philly series, in the early half of the Brewers series. He's hot now. Regardless, I think this series, I'm going to be generous. It goes 7. I do think it's going to go 7. And guess what? I actually got Toronto winning it. Give me the
wow
in 7. Fear the Dino. Fear the Dino.
It's amazing.
Do it for Vince. Do it for Vince.
No, listen. You could be optimistic. That's all fine and dandy, but
Blue Jays in 7. Guess what?
Listen, and you know what? I wouldn't even be surprised if it does go 7. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they did win, but because they are a good enough team, they've proved that they could pitch. That they've been in really tight spots where their bullpen has stepped up. But that Dodger team, man, it's just a different. They don't make any mistakes. They make 0 mistakes. They field their positions well. They hit in big spots. They move runners over. When there's second and third one out, they're getting a run in. Like they're not leaving ducks in the pond. They are just so hard to beat this time of year. They are a complete different team in the regular season. They turn up when they have to in order to solidify the division. And then when they get to the playoffs, they really are laser focused, and I can't go against them. I'm not saying that that's a hot take at all. Please, that to me is very realistic. This Blue Jays team is that good. Their starting pitching has really proved that they could go toe to toe with a lot of people. because they've really weathered the storm, and their bullpen has done pretty good the entire postseason. I mean, so they have a shot. I'm not going to say that they don't, but I cannot go against this Dodger team, and from top to bottom, they're just too strong in my opinion.
I'm going to jump on that and say that, and this is no disrespect to Toronto at all, I would be very surprised if they won this series. I think they're going to make it competitive, and I think they're going to give it their best shot, and it's just not going to be enough. Like you said, their experience, you've also mentioned, I've mentioned it, that team is just too strong. And, they also have guys that have had experience before coming to LA. Freeman with Atlanta, Betts with Boston. Ohtani, I mean, that game 4, that is not arguably, it's not a discussion. That is hands down the greatest performance by any sports athlete we have ever seen. This guy struck out 10 over 6 and hit 3 home runs in a game.
It's MLB the
in
Show
the
type
same game.
Yes. Yep.
I believe there was 12 people in playoff history that have hit 3 home runs in the same game, and I forget the number. It might be 17 that have struck out 10 people over 6 innings. One person did both of those.
Yeah, he's truly unbelievable. He's a
how do you
unicorn.
stop that?
You can't.
How do you
I've literally been asking. I've been asking baseball fans all over. Doesn't matter who you root for. How do you give anybody else the MVP in the National League for the next 5 years?
It's the Shohei Ohtani Award. We know this.
I just don't know. And I was telling somebody that someone would literally have to break the home run record, I think, in order to win.
That still might not even
Literally.
be enough. That might not even be enough.
That might do it.
That?
That might do it.
It might
now you're the home run king. That's a pretty big deal.
But
that to me is the only way. It's the only way that you out this guy, because if he's gonna pitch, even with like a 4 ERA, let's say he goes 8-6 with a 4 ERA, but he hits 50 homers and knocks on 100 and hits 290. How do you look? Yeah, how do you do? He's literally 2 players in one, and he performs at the top of his game on both sides. It's unbelievable to me.
Let me break this down as well, just to give you a little bit of a better reasoning. Obviously, I am still salty about the Brewers losing to the Dodgers in a sweep. That's not the reason I picked the Blue Jays, but I will tell you this. I do feel like the Blue Jays are going to put themselves, and this is my reasoning for picking them in 7. I literally shifted. I had the Dodgers in 6. I shifted to Blue Jays in 7 because unlike the Brewers, they're not going to put up 1 run per game in 4 games. Like in 4 games, they're not going to average 1 run. Not this offense. Not what I've seen. The way that these guys, Springer, Kirk, Vladdy, now Bichette, Varsho, Barger, these guys are meant for moments like these. Even Barger had a pretty good series. I was looking at his stats. I trust this team. Canada, like I said, we're doing it for Carter and McGrady. I'm behind you guys. Ben from JBM Sports Media. I'm behind you guys. I'm rooting for Canada. One nation under Ben.
One nation under Ben.
I'm with y'all.
Oh my God!
Listen, I'll say this. I think Kawhi already did it for Vince Carter and Canada and all that, and with Toronto. I think that's already been done. I don't know.
Now they need it from their baseball team, though. It's
this is a very tall task. Very tall task. Very tall task. And like I mentioned, I would be surprised, and that is not a disrespect or a knock to the Blue Jays at all. Listen, they had the best record in the American League for a reason. They won their division for a reason. They got to the World Series for a reason. It's not a fluke. It's not an accident. They didn't, just walk
cheat.
in. Definitely not. That's got to be the most ridiculous thing that I've heard.
Seattle was 9 outs away. They had every opportunity to win this game. They had every opportunity to win this series. The guy threw one bad pitch. Bizzardo threw one bad pitch that he's going to think about for the next 6 months. And a guy who, like I said, it came down to experience. Listen, Springer's up 1-0 in that count. A lot of guys would have took that pitch and said, "Okay, there's my first strike. We're back to an even count. Let's regroup."
Let me see one.
Springer said, you know what, this might be the only fastball I see this entire at bat. I'm going to jump all over this, and I'm going to do the best I can. And he homered. So that's the difference. Being a difference maker to me is the key there. So
Yeah.
Listen, tip of the hat to the Blue Jays. They did everything they had to do to win this series. Seattle literally fought to the end, but you got to figure out a way to lock that game down. Experience or not, you have to figure out how to get 9 outs there.
Guess what? They stay as the only team that's never made it to the World Series. They remain that. So,
which is pretty crazy if you think about how long they've been around and how long the World Series itself has been around.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they were in expansion team in the 70s? Early 70s, I think, right?
I believe so. But hey, listen, we're approaching,
yeah,
the mid 50s. They're approaching 60 years old. So
yeah,
up there now.
Yeah, Father Time. It's a thing.
And all the talent they've had, Ichiro, Griffey.
Yes, those 90s teams, those
early 2000s, they broke the win record with Ichiro's first season. I think it was 2000, 2001. It was the year after they traded Griffey.
01, yeah.
I mean, they've had, and it's like you guys have mentioned, like they've had some bad teams over the years. Don't get me wrong, but if you're talking from the mid 90s until now, you're talking 30 years, 95 to 25. They've had some studs.
Yeah,
they have had some studs. They've had some monster lineups, some monster rotations. They've had all this talent, and they just can't figure it out.
No, and this team too is stacked. They got the ALCS for a reason.
Absolutely,
it wasn't an accident.
No, not at all.
Toronto did what they had to do. They made the bigger moments. They took advantage of, and Seattle kind of choked it away.
Yeah,
if you really look at it, and it seems to be a thing. The teams that have guys that don't strike out, that's the Suarez. Listen, he's a monster home run hitter, but he strikes out a lot. He doesn't put the ball in play.
Right.
He really doesn't. Naylor's some of the same. He strikes out a decent clip. Rosarena.
He hit 340 though this series.
No, he did. He did. And he was mainly the only legitimate guy. I mean, he some big moments but I mean, they got a lot of guys in that lineup that strike out a little too much.
Yeah.
The averages are down, and that to me at least is the teams that that's the difference. And then you watch in the offseason. I mean, I'm not trying to sidetrack in a crazy manner, but you're watching the offseason, you see these teams that when they start adding guys that just put the ball in play and don't strike out and this and that, those are the teams that are really going to make a run. And Absolutely. That always seems to be the difference. That was the difference. Again, this was something I watched under a microscope, but Mets Royals and even Royals Giants, both of those teams, the Mets not so much, but the Giants and the Royals, those 2 years, those teams didn't strike out like that.
No. But
that's a huge part.
And to me, I'm not sure, Ben, maybe if you agree with this, but Seattle losing games 3 and 4 at home was really detrimental to the rest of the series.
Yeah, that was tough.
I know they snuck game. They stole game 5, and Suarez hit the grand slam, and he blew the roof off the place. But the fact that you lost the first 2 games of an ALCS in your own building after beating Toronto at home
twice,
which to me is, I said they're going to wrap this up in 5.
Mm-hmm.
They just won the first 2 hardest games in Toronto. They are definitely wrapping this up in 5. And then when they lost the games 3 and 4, I said it's going 7. That's just how it works. The minute you let the momentum swing right back into their favor, there was really no shot for them. And I was surprised when they won game 5. I said, I think they could steal one in Toronto, and they literally game 7 was the one they could have stolen. They just couldn't wrap it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
overall great series though.
It was excellent.
Phenomenal.
It was excellent series.
Great
excellent
series.
Hey, how about the NLCS? That was an amazing series too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I had fun watching it.
Listen, that was the most unexpected outcome, to be honest with you. And when I say unexpected outcome, I don't mean the Dodgers actually winning this series. I mean the Brewers getting swept. I would have never put that together. I thought they would have pitched a little bit better. I thought that their offense would have came through. I'm not saying the entire series, but I'm saying, I thought they would have been able to do enough against maybe, their starters and got to their pen early a couple times, and it just didn't happen. And they literally got dominated by the starters and the bullpen. And the key to that series, Ben, I'm not sure if you agree, is that their starting pitching gave them 17 innings out of a possible 18 innings for the first 2 games, which was it's unheard of.
Yeah,
When you have a starter go, Snell went 8, and then the next day Yamamoto goes a complete game, and you're down 0-2, and you're looking at the fact that they used one bullpen piece for 2 games. That's a difference maker right there.
With an off day.
So that's the key. When you could look at the stat line and say, oh, there it is right there, staring at me in the face. Their starters went 17 innings out of a possible 18. That's where the series is separated right there.
Yeah. I mean, really quick debrief, NLCS. I mean, if you want a stat for it, look at this.
That's another thing. Their offense was completely in the dark. And
all
those guys there are the reason why they clicked offensively.
Literally a 21-year-old carrying the Brewers in general. Churio did everything he could with a messed up hamstring, and he tried everything. But in reality, we have a guy like this, our leader.
What are you?
It means he's not showing up because he didn't show up.
God.
Maybe need icy hot. Who knows?
Oh my God, that's amazing. I will say this about that series, though. I gave a tremendous amount of respect to the Brewers and what they were doing in their team and their old school way and what they were. And the Dodgers completely took the Brewers out of the Brewers. That was, to me, what it was.
They beat them at their own game.
Really?
That was a shell of what I saw of what that team was capable of. And the stat you just put up with all the guys, all those big names in that lineup. And
yep, real quick.
I mean,
you got 3 guys.
Andrew Vaughn. Yeah, Andrew Vaughn became. I mean,
3 guys under 100. We're talking about.
Yeah, in
that
4
is
games.
Just brutal. That's
Yelich and Frelick. I think all across the board was all of our, or was it Terang?
I had Terang.
We so Yelich and Terang between the 3 of us. We all had the Brewers winning that series in 7, and all 3 of us took one of those guys, Yelich or Terang, to win the NLCS MVP, and they couldn't even hit 100.
Right.
Forget the Mendoza line.
Oh yeah, I know. They were miles away from the Mendoza line.
No, it's just they were doing their best Bob Uecker tribute. Those guys, because these guys.
I don't know what they were doing. That was.
And then to top it off, you have, like I said earlier in this episode or this show, that the greatest performance in sports history across everywhere. I don't care what sport it is, swimming, basketball, football, soccer, table tennis. It does not matter. What Ohtani did in Game 4 was the greatest performance in the history of sports. Hands down. There's nothing you're going to tell me that was better than that.
Yeah.
It's not.
Nothing at all. I mean, what could I say? They really just took everything out of the Brewers. They took out the Brewers' way of baseball. They showed why, being a better team, experience came into play. Pitching, obviously, they did everything possible in the pitching end, and it is what it is. All I got to say after that series, hopefully you guys are ready for the lockout of 2027 because, we're headed there.
Hey, we got another season left. Let's not do that. We got another season.
It's the truth, though.
Yeah, I really don't want to go there, but
let's enjoy 26. Let's get through this World Series. Let's enjoy it. Let's have a lot of fireworks in the off season, and then come mid-January, we'll be scratching ourselves, waiting for baseball to start, waiting for the rest of the free agents to sign. Guys like last year, like Pete and Bregman, who didn't sign until mid-June. So we'll have hopefully that doesn't happen again because those guys are free agents again. So hopefully that's not what ends up happening. But listen, I'm hoping for a great World Series. I hope it's a series just like that. I hope it's not a sweep on either end. I hope it's not a gentleman's sweep either. I want to see it at least be competitive, tight games, even if it's 9-8, 10-7, 5-4. I hope these games are competitive. And really, Joe, I think hit the nail on the head earlier when you said the Dodgers don't make mistakes. So I think what's going to win or cost somebody a World Series is who's going to make the first mistake.
Absolutely. And it's going to be something probably early in the game, like the first 3 innings, an error is made, and it's going to affect the rest of the game. I could see something happening early on that could affect either team. To be honest with you, but more Seattle. I think Seattle's going to have to really be. They got to cross their T's and dot their I's in this series.
Seattle's at home, JV.
No, I know. Listen. Oh, excuse me. I mean, I mean Toronto. I mean Toronto's gonna have to cross their T's and dot their I's. But listen, to me, it doesn't matter where LA plays. They can start off on the road. They can start off at home. It doesn't matter. They're gonna have to be nearly perfect. Toronto's gonna have to really realize that what they're going up against.
Listen, to me, the key for Toronto to win this series, if they're going to pull this off, they have to keep these games close. They have to make whatever starter comes out for LA work the counts. Get the starter knocked out of the game as best you can, and get to that bullpen.
Yeah,
that's going to be the key for them. If they're going to win this World Series, if they're going to beat this team, you can make it 2-1, 2-0, 3-2, whatever it is. You have to be either up or right in striking distance when you get to that Dodger bullpen. And that'll be the key. That'll be what will win them the World Series.
But when I say get to the bullpen, not in the 6th, the 3rd or the 4th.
You got to make the guy work. You're going to have to get his
starter out early. You have to put a couple of runs on the board, because the more outs they have to get, the better off Toronto will be.
Yeah.
If they can get to a guy like Glass now and get him out after 3 1/3, I like their chances. But if they're going to get to that pen and the pen comes in the 6th or the 7th, you're asking for minimal outs, and it's going to look a lot harder. And that's when Toronto's probably going to be trailing in situations like that. If the pen's being used in the 7th or 8th inning, you're probably looking at a well-pitched Dodgers starter game at that point. So a lot of things are going to have to come into play. It's really going to see how the chips fall when it comes to the series, honestly. But like I said, I have the Dodgers in 6. I can't see how they lose the series. But again, if they don't answer the bell and Toronto could manipulate the bullpen a little bit and strike while the iron's hot, maybe they take the series. Who knows?
Ben, you got anything else before we wrap?
Nah, just Blue Jays, don't press. Try to play your style of baseball. That's it. Play your style of baseball, and you guys have a shot. That's it.
That's pretty fair. Listen, I'll put it out there to everybody else now. You've heard us. If you're still here, I hope you are. If you are, we appreciate it. We want to hear your thoughts, your predictions on this series. Who's going to win? Why? What's going to be the key for each team? We've kind of given you Toronto's. LA is pretty simple. Do what you're doing. LA is very simple. Have your starters go and do what they've been doing all postseason, and they're working with their bullpen, and it's somehow been working. But to me, those are the keys, and that's how I would say Toronto does it. So now I want to hear yours. What is your keys? Who's maybe your favorite to win the MVP of this series? Do you see it going 7? Do you see somebody getting swept? Do you see a major upset? Do you see maybe Toronto or LA being completely outclassed by the other? Whatever it may be. Guys, as usual, we do appreciate your support. We appreciate the likes, the shares, the comments. We're reading and listening to everything. So, as always, guys, have a great night.